food in here, Jarrell?
Yeah, that's true.
Do you have that?
We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball is my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court. Just like I'm the king on the microphone. So it's not the J and Moses. I like slam dunks, take me to the hoop. My favorite play is the alley. I like the pick and roll. I like the give and go. Basketball with Mr. Crutcher. I used to go to dinner to take the girls. Tiny legs.
Y'all scoot closer together.
And Jerry and Fred play basketball.
Everybody's
Very